Hi, we're at Atmosphere Conference and Duncan Davidson is with me. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
You used to call yourself programming polyglot. So how many languages do you know and use?
I know no languages at all. Well, no, I'm just kidding. I probably have 4 languages that are in my wheelhouse that I go to all the time. Scala, Go, Java, and Objective-C. But on top of that, since at work we use a whole bunch of different languages and all different styles, that number, I mean, I might be looking at code in Clojure one day, and the next day I'll be looking at code in Go or Scala or what's one of the more esoteric things, Erlang or Haskell. So we've got all sorts of languages in use.
So you like to learn new languages?
Yeah, I'm a little bit, it's sadistic almost, but yes, yeah, it's a lot of fun to dive into a new language and see what it can do. And it really opens up your mind in different ways.
Okay, so you're a lead project for the Wunderlist?
I'm the integrations team lead, yeah.
Yep. So what's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now?
Right now, our biggest challenge is just getting the product to the next level. Our internal issues we had, and we solved it to a large degree by going with a microservices architecture. We've got everybody really working on the back end well. Now the next thing we need to do is just, we've come a long way with the product, and we need to take it another big step forward. But to do that, we have to work with everybody in the team to get there.
Speaking of microservices, yep. Your talk was titled was about what you have learned from writing dozens of polyglot microservices. So, what did you learn?
That's an awesome question. One, I learned 2 things that are really cool. Well, the first I already mentioned, every language bends your brain in a different way. But the second is that when you use multiple languages together, you stop being complicated in any single language. It simplifies the way you look at a problem. You use the simplest method of getting something done. And if you have to make one language talk to another, your interface between that is necessarily simple. So you avoid the cuteness. So instead of getting complicated with Ruby and doing all sorts of monkey patching and crazy stuff that you would do if all you're doing is working in Ruby, you don't let yourself do that because you've got a bigger job to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you think you're DevOps?
Definitely DevOps. I mean, but DevOps by default. We don't have a separate operations or development group. Every developer is able to work on the operations, and many of us do on a frequent basis. So yeah, definitely DevOps.
So how would you define DevOps?
The erasure of distinction of who owns the code at what point in life. So it's the ownership of the code by a developer through production and all the way to, in our case, when we sunset a service, we could have the same developer create it, put it together, put it into production, and then take it out. And that's actually the full life cycle. So that's what it is to us. Okay.
You live in Berlin currently.
Yep.
So maybe you can tell us how does the what is the spirit of DevOps in Berlin?
I think the spirit of DevOps is high. I mean, we have companies like Travis CI, and those guys are really big into it. The SoundCloud you've heard of, obviously. There is a lot of people in the Berlin tech scene are adopting the strategy of working so that they don't have the artificial constraints within their company. They actually have programmers owning the execution of their code. I think it's a big deal.
Okay. We are at Atmosphere. Yeah. What conference would you recommend for real DevOps?
There's no other conference here is perfect. No. After you come to Atmospheres, like Velocity in the US is a good conference, but more so, I would actually look at the bigger conferences after that aren't specific just in one area. I think to do DevOps well, you have to be well-rounded, and that means going to different conferences that aren't necessarily like your core competency. Like I should challenge myself and go to a database conference one day so that, I have to hear the painful spots of databases that I try not to think about ever. But that would be, something I would encourage everybody to do. Not databases, but something. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know where you are going next?
Next, as far as in person, I'm going back to Berlin, working some more, and then I'll be going to the States several more times over the year. Languages, I have no idea where we're going next. It could be fun.
We keep fingers crossed for you and for the Wunderlist.
Thank you.
So thank you for the talk. Duncan Davidson was our guest at Atmosphere Conference. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, man.